as we see now, a lot of times the sideline reporters are now women. But you don't really see like the coaching positions or like the main anchor for like the post game show is usually not a woman. You know, the color analyst may not be a woman. You know, different positions like that. I think we're getting closer to like getting more women in there, but I think stepping into the industry, I think that it's being more accepted. It's just beautiful to see, like, to look around in the well, we're not in the locker room anymore, but you know, just look around in the media room and just seeing so many women in there.
Girl, you've got it. Act like you know it. Girl, you've got it. And you might as well show it. Say, girl, you've got it. Act like you know it. Girl, you've got it. And you might as well show it. Girl, you've got it. Act like you know it. Girl, you've got it. And you might as well show it. Girl, you've got it. Act like
What's going on, sports fans? It is your boy, the sports reporter at Outpay, and here we are in March, Women's History Month, another episode of Breaking Barriers, talking to women in sports, talking about their journey, letting them tell their story. And today I have with me the online editor for Radio 1 DC, Miss Breanna Holmes. Thank you for joining me, man.
Hi, thanks for having me, Ray.
Appreciate it. So, again, tell the people a little bit about yourself. I announced that you're the online editor for Radio One, but I'm sure you're a person of many hats. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so like you said, I am the online editor for Radio 1 DC. Radio 1 is the largest Black owned radio company or urban entertainment company. And so we have markets all over the nation, but I'm basically am the digital manager for all of our DC stations here. And so it includes managing the website, social media, um, you know, app blast, our app, like any digital needs that we have, covering events. And that also includes covering sports. So I have the pleasure of covering the Washington Wizards since 2018. And so it's been really fun and something that I wanted to do before that. So when I got this position, it was like one of the first things that I said. I was like, "Can I cover the Wizards, please?" And so it's been a fun journey. And through that, I've been able to make a lot of connections with a lot of other women in sports, including Candy, which is how I got connected with you. So it's been a great journey.
Yeah, y'all got a squad of women.
Yes,
You, Candy, Korea. It's a load of them
yes,
in that DC area. Um, so you said you wanted to cover the Wizards. So that means you're born and raised in that area, then, right?
yes, yep. Home team. That's the squad right there.
Okay, so you kind of mentioned that like you said, it was something that you want to do. So your overall job is very broad, but within that scope, you do cover sports. So again, was that like a childhood thing? You always wanted to do sports, or once you got into this job, it was like, okay, I can branch off into sports.
So it wasn't a childhood dream, no. I played a bunch of different sports growing up, like from soccer to gymnastics to swim team to cheerleading to dance to like, a bunch of different stuff, but never stuck to it. And so yeah, when I went to college, I went to Winston-Salem State University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And when I went to college, I actually started attending more sports events and games and just like being there in the atmosphere. And I don't know, it was just a whole experience. And so I really started to fall in love with this with football first, and then getting to know the players and having class with the players and getting to know them on a personal level to open my eyes to different things, and then going to basketball games. It was just like a whole experience. And so when I came back after graduating, I started looking more into sports. And I had a cousin who, her and I had an apartment together, and she, since we were little kids, has always loved sports, like always. And so like we would be at home, we'd be watching the games, and I'll be asking her questions. I'll be like, okay, so what does this mean? What does that mean? Da da da. And so I was just starting to learn more. I was watching like His and Hers with Jamal Hill. I was watching, the jump. I was watching the starters. Like I was just watching, I just was like fully consumed with sports. And it just really, really let me fall in love with especially the NBA. And then, then starting to go to games. Like I lived not too far from Capital One Arena. And so I would just walk to the games and started, learning more about the players, actually like watching post game interviews and seeing what the reporters were asking and just getting familiar again with the players and stuff. And then so when I got this position and then I saw that no one was really covering the team for my company, that's when I was like, okay, this is my opportunity to do it.
It's interesting because I ask everybody about their journey, and most people who cover sports were like sports fanatics growing up. You got all the way to college, then got bit by the sports bug. That's very interesting. That's dope though. So far, with you covering the Wizards or just in sports in general, um, is there any defining moment for you that it was like that's the moment where it's like I've arrived, I'm here, I belong here? Because we all go through the kind of the ups and downs or the struggle of kind of to breaking ground into this type of industry. What's that feather in your cap for you that was the moment that said, okay, this is where I belong?
Um I think honestly now with this being my fourth or fifth year covering the team, it's like just being recognized, just being recognized amongst my peers and having other women be like, "Hey, Breanna, like, how are you? Oh, we missed you at the game. Like, why weren't you at the last game? Or something like that. Like, they see you, they recognize you there. Having like Wizards PR know you. I think just building that community, like being away, like whenever we have like the summer break, and then you come back to that first home game, it's just like it's a great feeling, and just being around all the other people, and then also like just I think developing a relationship with the players also was a defining moment. Just knowing that, Bradley Beal knows who I am and he's like, don't worry, yeah, I got you, whatever, stuff like that. Like, I think that was a dope moment. Even when John Wall was here, being able to develop a relationship with him and like have him know who I am and stuff like that. Like, those moments like that are really cool. And I think that even like Karita, as you mentioned, Karita and I like we'll just be like, our job is pretty dope. Like, this is a really dope job. Like, just sometimes you just have to like take a step back and just reflect on like what's happening in this moment right here. And so I think it happens for me like every day, probably.
That's what like that's the reality of it though, right? Like you get kind of caught up in the grind of it all, you never stop it. And then you sit back and think about it like I'm covering sports, right? Like it's
Right.
sports, it's a game. But there are childhood games that people have turned into a profession and you get to talk about it and cover it for a living.
Yeah.
So you're covering the Wizards. Are there aspirations beyond that? Like what's the end game for you? Like in this particular industry, like what's the end game for you?
So yeah, definitely to expand onto other teams. I'm working on doing more like editorial pieces, like documentary series work with different players, not just with Wizards, but throughout the league. Also, I'm hoping to work with Basketball Africa League to be able to travel and cover some of those games or AfroBasket, within that international game, even the Caribbean Basketball League, just international basketball and as a whole. I love to travel, so to be able to travel and cover basketball would be amazing. But really, for me, a main reason why I did fall in love with basketball or with sports in general was just again getting to know the players, the athletes. So continuing to do projects to help them tell their story and to just bring a different perspective to these players that play a game that so many people all over the world love. And so just to yeah, just allow people to get to know them better, to see them through a different lens. So
So when you look at your journey and you look at your career, is there a person that stands out to you that I guess you could point to as I don't use the word role model, but like a mentor or someone that you looked up to in this industry that you go, okay, I heard you mention Jamel here earlier because you didn't say Michael and Jamel, you
I know.
said Jamel, which is interesting because I interviewed Michael out at in Arizona, right, and he
Mhm.
was talking about Jamel and the impact that she's had, right. Um, so, in fact, I'm gonna do it this way. Besides Jamel Hill, right? Is there someone in this industry that you kind of look to as a benchmark? I guess is a good word to use.
Um, let me think. I mean, definitely Jamal. I got to meet her once, and she was really dope to see her in person. So I was gonna say, honestly, a big person that I really enjoyed watching, as I mentioned, the jump was Rachel Nichols, but
Look,
unfortunately,
everybody hating on Rachel now. Look,
now
she's still.
yeah, I'm not hating on her. Like I'm still like that just really disappointed me. That's all. I was a big fan of hers, and just hearing that audio and just the whole situation, like it just really disappointed me. That's all. And so she was definitely a big person that I really did enjoy watching. Like I watch the jump every day. Um, and so that was just an unfortunate situation. And then or just to know that that side of her was just unfortunate. But definitely now Malika Andrews, yeah, definitely Malika Andrews. I also have a friend, well, ESPN is like the dominator of sports. So most of these people are ESPN people, but she used to actually cover the Wizards. And now she's like a sideline reporter for ESPN. She does a lot of stuff. Monica, I don't remember her last name, but her name is Monica. And just seeing her sitting next to her in the press area at the games, and seeing her over on the side practicing and covering the game on the side and then watching it, and then now seeing her on TV, I'm like, that's amazing. So just to be able to witness her going from sitting on the side of the Wizards games to now traveling all over um, to cover all the big teams, doing interviews and all that stuff. Definitely is a big inspiration too.
So, what about on a more personal level? Someone who you may know personally or have worked with personally that throughout this journey may have been a mentor, has kind of helped guide you along the way.
Definitely my father. My father is also in the media industry. He's basically the reason why I am in media, like growing up around cameras and on sets. He's a editing specialist, so he works for the office of sorry. Okay, he works for DC Entertainment Company, like the main entertainment company here in DC. And so he has always been in the entertainment industry, and it just became second nature for me. Like for when I was deciding what I wanted to major in college, I was going through so many different things, and then I was like, I'm gonna do mass communications, but I was like, duh, of course. Like that's what you need. That's what you are naturally good at. So definitely my dad. He's anytime that I need like advice on something, a situation, a tip for like how to edit or like a trick or something like that. And then even now I'm able to give him advice too. Like he's asking me about streaming and like podcasting and all different stuff. And so we've definitely had this great relationship between the both of us over the years.
That's dope. Like I guess it's always fun to be able to do what you love with the people you love, right? Like that has to make it that much more exciting. So, obviously the name of this series is Breaking Barriers, Women in Sports, right? We're talking about women in this male dominated arena, right? For you, I guess let's do this. You're gonna be the first person I ask this question this way. On a scale from 1 to 10, how much more difficult do you think it is for women to succeed or thrive in this space?
Hmm. I think nowadays I don't think it's as hard to get into the field. I It's been like really great looking around when I go to games and even seeing like the away team media and seeing so many women um, covering the teams. Now, I think the difficult part is the actual position that you want to be in, because as we see now, a lot of times the sideline reporters are now women, but you don't really see like the coaching positions or like the main anchor for like the post game show is usually not a woman. You know, the color analyst may not be a woman, you know, different positions like that. I think we're getting closer to like getting more women in there, but I think stepping into the industry, I think that is being more accepted. It's just beautiful to see, like, to look around in the well, we're not in the locker room anymore, but you know, just look around in the media room and just seeing so many women in there, different shades, different ages, different backgrounds, that are coming together. So again, like, I think coming into it is not as difficult anymore, but it just depends on what exactly you want to do once you're in the door. That it will, you know, determine how much harder you have to work or how much further you have to push to get in.
Okay. And that's gotta be dope. Like I said, I mean, I've seen the pictures, I've seen some of the work y'all doing. Y'all got a squad like up there in the DC area, y'all getting busy. I don't know if it's like that everywhere else.
Mm,
Right? Y'all have a special situation going down there, and that has to be helpful to look around. You know, any minority, right? You look around and you see people that look like you doing what you're doing. There's
mhm.
got to be some form of motivation.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And like you said, like, that was like one of the things when I first covered the team, and why like any black woman that I saw, I'm like, hi. I'm like,
Right?
and it was just like automatically like a mutual respect, like a mutual like grounding, and then to now for it to be so many years later and we're still like that, it's amazing.
I mean, you said it, I didn't, but since you said it, you know, I didn't intend for it to be this way, but what has turned out so far, vast majority of the people I am interviewing have been black women, right? And the interesting thing about you guys is you're fighting two battles, right? You're fighting the battle of being a woman, and you're African American, right? Like that's two whole separate things, and having to deal with both of them again in the industry that before didn't accept,
Right.
you know, women altogether, but a black woman in this space, like again, man, shout out to y'all. Y'all doing it big. Y'all are, um, y'all paving the way. Y'all paving the way right now for the women that come behind y'all.
Thank you. And thank you to men like yourself too that are continuing to, you know, shine the light on us and bring the awareness that yes, we're here. Like,
Y'all listen, y'all doing y'all thing. I'm a vehicle. I'm just driving this vehicle. Like y'all doing y'all thing. So real quick question before we wrap up. Am I gonna see you in April? Will you be at the symposium?
I don't
Oh, listen. So
I don't know
listen.
what that is.
I'm not editing this. We leaving this right in here. The Black Sports Symposium, it is amazing. You talking about looking around and seeing people who look like you doing what you do. Last year was the first one, right?
Oh, okay.
ESPN partnered with Black Sports Business and hosted a Black Sports Symposium. It was down in Atlanta, Georgia. They had
Mhm,
wherever the Falcons play, whatever that field is,
mhm,
and some of the guest speakers there, Deion Sanders spoke, Eric Thomas was there, the lady who's the GM for the Bucks was there, Jamel Hill was there, she spoke, but it was a really a networking event. They had on air editions for ESPN, but it is a special thing to look around, like I said, and see people in a light that they really don't shine on us in the media too often, right? To see us in our professional capacity, networking, doing our thing. It's amazing. Now that I know you weren't aware, like when they put out the actual dates, because if you go on the website, you see it, but it still has last year's dates. I'll
mhm.
send you the information. It's
Okay,
somewhere you should
yeah.
be. It's
Yeah,
somewhere you
that
want to
sounds
be.
dope. Yeah.
It is. So last but not least, I'm going to give you a solo shot here. Whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, uh, any kind of writing you're doing, podcasts, websites, whatever, tell the people where they can find you. Don't leave nothing out. Don't be shy at all. Tell the people where they can find you.
Okay. Well, you can definitely follow me on all social platforms at Vids by Bree, VIDSBYBRE. You can also find me on, of course, across Radio 1 DC's websites. That's kysdc.com, mymagicdc.com, praisedc.com, woldcnews.com. And then also, I am a contributor for Sports Illustrated, Wizards Fan Nation. And so you can definitely find me on there. Shout out to Candy, shout out to Karita for including me a part of that team. And so, yeah, that's where you can find me.
Well, listen, Breanna, thank you so much for joining me. It's been amazing. Like, it was genuine that we just met today, right? This was all impromptu. We just met today. So thank you for joining me, and thank y'all for tuning in. Be on the lookout for the next episode of Breaking Barriers, Women in Sports. We're going to be doing this all month. We appreciate y'all.
Yes.
Girl, you've got it. Act like you know it. Girl, you've got it. And you might as well show